So we move on to item 14. Item 14 is Al Coby employment contract. The recommendation that the City Council approve the proposed employment agreement with Al Coby and authorize the Council President to execute it on behalf of the City Council. Further, that City Council approve the attached supplemental budget resolution appropriating funds for this position. All right, I have a motion and a second. Councilman Bare.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to introduce a substitute amendment for this particular item. Recommendation that the City Council approve engaging Alvin Coby to assist in the creation of the Office of the City Council and to provide guidance in the hiring of council staff.
You gave that to us, didn't you?
I did. And I have a second. Can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. What you have before you, I hand wrote my name on top. I forgot to put my name, and I wanted you to know who it was from. This is a substitute amendment that would approve the engagement of Al Coby in a consultant role rather than a position. This would be funded from within our professional services budget, would not require any type of budget amendment. We have about $115,000 currently in that budget. I've also included a service agreement, which is a contract for consultant services with Mr. Coby. It's a period of 6 months. The compensation would be at $7,500 per month, which is based on a $90,000 a year salary. It would not be a salary. He would not get benefits because this is a consultant. This is what we talked about back in February. If you look on it, on the service agreement under Section 2, it states that we could continue him if we need to. I felt that 6 months after consulting with staff and the administration was a better time frame than going with 90 days. And the duties that are prescribed in here are that consultant agrees to advise and assist the council in the establishment of the Office of City Council, and consultant will provide guidance on necessary staff and assist in the hiring process. The rest of it's standard kind of legal language, and I'm asking for your consideration of this in lieu of the item. This would replace the item that's currently being considered if we approve it.
Yes, Councilwoman Myers.
I'd like to speak after Councilman Spencer, I think, wants to speak to this item.
Okay, Councilman Spencer.
She wants to hear my cliff notes.
I'm looking at them.
I want to share with fellow council members, I support Councilman Bare's proposal to redefine this position as a consultant, most particularly because it does provide a fixed rate without a package of benefits, nor it avoids creating this permanent position. And I will share with everyone tonight that this support requires me to shift one of my something I was adamant about in our last meeting, and that was that his contract be a 90-day period. But in light of the scope of work that is described under the service agreement, I can accept the 6-month duration with the understanding that the duties may in fact require that length of time as he helps establish the Office of City Council.
Okay, Ms. Myers.
Yes, it's my clear understanding from the February 12th meeting we had that our intent was to offer ask Mr. Coby if he would consider coming on board as a consultant to help us establish the Office of City Council. And I was surprised when I got to page 487 of the agenda last night that what we were really doing is offering him the position of council executive. And while I think Mr. Coby is fantastic, I think he would do a fabulous job, that is not what the council anticipated. And I think that the best thing for us to do is to do what we decided we would do on February the 12th. And that is to hire Mr. Coby as a consultant. Maybe he will end up being our council executive, but that's where I think we should go, and I think that this is the smart thing to do. I want to remind council that the citizens entrusted us when they amended the charter to allow us to hire our own staff. And I think we owe it to the taxpayers and to the citizens to be prudent and to do things in a mindful and professional manner and with the best interest of the taxpayer in mind. And so I am not going to support hiring Mr. Coby as the council executive. I will support Mr. Bare's friendly amendment, and I hope that council will too. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Kane.
Yes, I had always envisioned Mr. Coby as a consultant and not a permanent employee. I did not want him, if he wants to come back as a permanent employee, I would be happy to consider that later on. I mean, he always had this knack of telling me no, and it was no, Jewel, we're not going to do that. So, but I had always thought of it as a consultant, and I think that that would be the best role for him, is to help us be able to define who we are as a council and those positions that we need as a council. And so I will support the amendment as by Councilman Bare, and for the 6 months. 90 days, I mean, we're just so bureaucratic and bogged down. 90 days would not be enough. So the 6 months, I think, would be able to help us get through what we need to get through and move on.
Thank you. Mr. Wingate.
I was just wondering, if we pass this, what effect would it have on the other items that we have going through on the list?
I don't think it affects them at all.
Okay.
It only affects this one item.
Okay.
Councilman Wu?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I may have heard things differently, but I was not surprised when I got page 400 because my understanding was that was our intent. I had looked at Mr. Coby filling the position until a short-term gap, until we could find someone to take over. If you look back historically, our record in hiring somebody to be the council executive is not the best. Our last time, I believe, we took between 2 to maybe 2.5 years. And we went through probably about 6 people. And I believe that really was not the most productive use of our time. So I have the utmost confidence in Mr. Coby in doing what the motion originally planned. However, I'm pragmatic enough to do math, and I can count the votes, but I wanted to go on record with my remarks. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other comments? I being the sponsor of this item, I understood the vote in February, and I didn't intend for Mr. Coby to be our council executive. I believe he was going to be our council administrator and help us find the council executive, and that was my intent. I also feel, through discussions with Mr. Barker, that the IRS does not look too good on service contracts for consultants. So through his expert advice, he thought that an employment contract would leave the city in a better position. So that was my reasoning for this. And if it's the council's wish to go with the service agreement, I have no objection to that. I just was trying to cover all of our bases and keep us protected. Yes, Councilman Bare.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I appreciate the comments I've heard. I know that there may be some misunderstanding about what we talked about in February. I think that it may have been a little bit foggy as to what we were deciding to do. Under no circumstances would I support hiring someone in a position that doesn't even exist. Council administrator, that position doesn't exist. So we're creating new positions, not one authorized in the charter, just opening ourselves up to more criticism because we're not able to implement the charter provisions correctly. I think that's why we're bringing Mr. Coby in, is to help us make sure we comply with the charter, His experience, his background speaks for itself. He has been the city manager here. Granted, it was during the transition period and prior to that, but he has not been out of the public realm. He's been helping quite a bit with the Restore funds. I think he is more than qualified to do this job, and I think we owe it to him to give him a position where he can have that freedom to do what we need a consultant to do. It's not an employee we're trying to hire here, I don't believe. I think it's a consultant, and I look forward to working with him in that role. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other discussion, please vote on the amendment to the item. Ms. Myers? All right. Motion passes 6-1. So Councilman Bare's service agreement becomes the main motion. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I need to clear my, there he goes.
Wait. So we need to clear that and do it.
It goes back to the main motion. Your
So this is
motion
the
and
main
second.
motion now?
That is the main
That
motion.
is the main motion. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for the amended motion. Any discussion? No? All right. Please vote. Motion passes 7-0.